The session today being Copilot Beyond the Basics, I do want to start with just, what exactly is Copilot, just to make sure if you're not familiar and what are some benefits of actually using Copilot. Not everybody really understands the full capabilities of what it is that Copilot can do, but very briefly, Copilot is an AI agent or an AI tool, I should say, that is available within your Microsoft 365 account. So today I'm going to be demonstrating some, really integrated capabilities that we have within Copilot with our internet browser, our Outlook, our Excel, PowerPoint, Word, bookings. I don't, wherever you are, Copilot can be available. I don't know if you're watching any sports right now. My husband's big into sports. And so every weekend and Thursday, Monday, we have sports on, and you're seeing commercials about Copilot. It's crazy. It's absolutely everywhere. But a few benefits that I do want to kind of mention about the Copilot app itself. Now, of course, Microsoft's making improvements, enhancements, giving us additional features in Copilot. They have been throughout this year and they'll continue. Of course, as usual, they always continue to make things better. But when you use the Copilot app, which is what we're going to be starting in today, it is a unified workspace. So when I was talking about the fact that it's connected to your 365 account, there's two ways that we're going to be able to prompt the system. One is to say, I want to go to the web and get an answer to my prompt, or two, I want to use my 365 account to get an answer to my prompt. So I love that unified capability through the account. Seamless integration, like I said, throughout our 365, it's prompt driven, which means we ask it questions, it gives us a response, which is very human-like on the response that it gives us. But the better you prompt, the better the response is going to be. Now, of course, that's being improved, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. But content creation and collaboration, to be honest, I don't know if I can live without Copilot these days. I never thought I'd find myself saying this, but Copilot is a part of my daily habit, and I'm talking 7 days a week. I use it every single day for one thing or another. It's just crazy what I use it for, but it helps us to create content and to help us with building collaboration tools. And you're going to see some examples of both of those options here today. Number 5 really talks about the Copilot Lab. We won't get into too much of that here today, but that is a way that we can actually work on our prompting. We could do a whole session on prompt engineering so that we're talking to the system correctly to get the responses back out that we want to have. Accessibility and efficiency, Copilot's everywhere. We can access Copilot through Outlook. There's the Copilot app on the left-hand side of the menu bar. It's directly related to working inside your Outlook. It's in almost every single app you use. I use it every day in SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, wherever you're at, it's available. And it definitely gives us efficiencies over having to manually do things. And the demonstrations we're going to do today, I'll give you some examples of manual versus using Copilot for the efficiency side. And for me, probably the best part about all of this is security. There's a lot of AI tools available, and I'm not going to mention any names. You can go out to the internet and on your phone and find millions of them these days. I swear, new ones pop up every day. But Microsoft Copilot is very secure, and that's important to understand. So if I ask it to do something with a file, I don't have to worry about the information in that file being leaked to the public. It goes nowhere. It stays right in your Microsoft 365 account. It doesn't go anywhere. So it's not sharing your information. It's not learning from you. It's not doing those kind of things like some of the other AI tools. So enough about that. Let's talk about Copilot itself. So I use Copilot to start my day. Every single day, I have a different habit. Now, I talk about habits, of course, in all of our sessions, but I seriously do have habits, good and bad. But My habit is at the beginning of my day, I use Copilot. I use it to help me start my day so that I can make sure that I am organized. It's going to help me with things that I didn't take care of already. Looking at my emails, are there emails that I haven't responded to? Are there things that should be on my radar for today? You know what? And it's going to organize things. The great part is it organizes things based on, is it files? Is it meetings? Is it tasks? Is it, whatever the category might be of what it finds in your 365 account, it's going to come back and give you that information. So if this has not been a habit of yours, today's your day to start. Now everybody always says, "Oh, I'll start on Monday. I'll start on Monday." Well, you could wait till Monday, but why? I use Copilot to start my day, but then I continue to use Copilot throughout the day. Now, what do I start the day with? Well, on Mondays, I kind of have a habit on Mondays and Fridays. I have kind of different habits that I'm doing now with Copilot. And then during the week, I have other things that I do. But how I start is by asking it, what happened? So if it's Monday, I go into Copilot, the Copilot app, and I ask it, what happened last week that needs to be on my radar for this week? Okay. What do I need to do this week? Those are some basic things that we could be asking the system. Now, think about that if you manually go to do that. That's where I get the shivers thinking about this, because I think about how we used to work 2 years ago, a year and a half, a year ago, sometimes for people 6 months ago. How did you do things then versus how you do things now? My habits have changed, and I am super excited about it because I used to spend a lot of time trying to figure out, okay, what happened last week? I would go look at my calendar. I would separately have to look at my emails. I would separately have to try and find my files. I don't have to manually do any of that anymore. I strictly ask Copilot to do it for me. So I use Copilot and Teams as very regular. I'm in them all the time, so I can ask Copilot to summarize any of my upcoming meetings for the week. Let me know any unread or important emails that should be flagged for my attention, that should be on my radar. Tasks that are due soon, whether it's going to look at my to-do, my planner, or other areas of my 365. I mean, if I had to manually do all of that, it would be spending a lot of time. And Brian, just so you know, I actually have been kind of keeping track of how much time I'm saving in Copilot. And I'm averaging an hour and a half to 2 hours of time I'm saving by using Copilot. I am I'm probably turning red thinking about this, because it took me a long time to get to this point because I was afraid of it, like a lot of people are when they first get started. But even just thinking about, how do I find the tasks that I need to take care of now? Drafting something. So when we talked about the collaboration side, the benefit of the collaboration side of Copilot, an example here is you can even draft a quick Monday kickoff email to your team. So if I need to, maybe last week working on a project didn't go so well, and I want to start them off this week with a good kickoff, I could have it come up with, what is a good email to send to the team that is, last week our project wasn't going according to plan. We had some difficulties. I want to give them something motivational. It can do all that for us. It can write the email, put in a motivational piece in there, whatever it is that we prompt it, it will do. Just so you're aware, when you look at the top of the screen, then you're going to see that work versus web. Work is going to be my 365 account, and I'm going to have suggested prompts down at the bottom directly related to that. And when I prompt and ask it questions, it's going to be searching my entire 365 account. But if I go to the top and I click web, the prompt suggestions down at the bottom change, and it's going to now be web related, which is going to include the ability of us being able to really search the internet for the information that we want to find. So the demonstrations that I'm going to be starting out with are going to be based on the prompts in 365 using work is what I'm going to start with. So let me give you an example of some of the things that I had already mentioned that Copilot can help us with when it comes to prompting and kind of that morning routine or your everyday routine, those kind of things. I could simply be asking it something just as basic as to saying, let me show you here, as to saying, what's on my calendar today? Now, can I go to my calendar and look at that? Absolutely. But is it going to take me further on what I have going on? Absolutely not. So I actually asked Copilot to do it for me because of what it's going to give me that I'm not going to get when I'm manually looking at it myself. Yeah, I can look at my calendar. We all do. But look at what this is doing. So it's breaking things apart based on what I have going on today. And yes, I do have a very busy day coming up today, but you could see that it's got everything that I need and it's breaking everything down on time frame. I can't get a summary like that just looking at my calendar unless I do a lot of extra manual work with it. And down at the bottom, I've got suggested prompts to go along with it. So help me prioritize today's meetings, summarize key points for that Copilot training session, anything like that. It will automatically allow me to do that just by clicking on that suggested prompt, and it will go ahead after I click enter or click the send, it will go ahead and do those actions. Now, if I want to manually type in or talk to the system to continue that prompt conversation, we most certainly can do that as well to continue on that conversation. But one of the things that I do on a pretty regular basis here in Copilot is I want to be asking it questions like, and just so you know, it did high priority things for me because that's what I had prompted it. But let me give you another example because this is something I do all the time. Summarize my unread messages and flag anything urgent. If you ever need to know any of that, let Copilot do that. We could search our emails. We could go to Outlook and, search our messages and do that. Um, you could, but why would you? Why don't we let Copilot do it? Because it's going to give you the summarization and the continue conversation to enhance your capabilities with that efficiency of using Copilot instead of us manually doing it. So you could see that I've got some things that are urgent and time sensitive. I've got some professional development. I've got some other things going on. So you could see that it's automatically going out there and doing that summarization for me. Also, if I had a specific meeting that I wanted to have it work with me, I need an agenda. I needed to help me prep for an upcoming meeting. I can be doing those kind of things as well. Sky's the limit. Whatever you need Copilot to do, it's going to be able to do. One thing that I do on a daily basis when I'm using Copilot, by the way, is ask about documents. Because what documents have I been working on? What documents have I been working on the most? Now, what if I needed to know if there's a document in my 365 account that somebody else made changes to? Or do I have any new posts in a team? Anything can be asked of Copilot because it's analyzing your 365 account. So it's not just looking at things in your OneDrive and your personal Outlook. It's looking at anything, even if you're sharing something with somebody else, it doesn't matter. It's part of your account. So it's going to analyze that information. So here it came back with, which documents were you working on? Well, I was working on this prompt engineering. I was working on this SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive for staff, this Copilot kickoff, start your day, building and presenting for government. Here's some recently edited files and it's giving me links to them. I can't tell you how easy this has become to be able to really figure out what it is that I need to do. Now, could I go to my OneDrive and see recent files? Absolutely. I really could. But Copilot can take me a lot further. And what if I wanted to actually do something with one of these files? Notice my prompt suggestion down at the bottom. It says summarize key points from this specific file. Now, it doesn't have to be this file, but here's one that it pointed out, prompt engineering for building better conversations with AI. If I put that in that to say, summarize this document for me, all I have to do is press go and it's going to automatically summarize that document without me even having to go in it. I could have it write me an email to the executives about an Excel file. Just think of anything that you manually do. Think of the collaboration efforts that you do. And I'll show you some examples in a minute about using it directly with Outlook as well. But boy, this is pretty cool that it came back with this summary for this document. So I do this, by the way, with policies. I'm working on some governance policies right now for using AI and different things like that. And I need a summary so that I can share it back with the executive committee when they're going to make their decision on, what should be included and approve or reject things. I can do that right from Copilot. Copilot, I shouldn't say I can do that. Copilot could do it just by me asking it. Now, by the way, you can type or you can just talk to it. Most of the time for me, I talk to Copilot because I don't like to type, although I type all day long. I don't like to type when I don't have to. So there is a microphone that is available consistently now throughout Copilot. We're more and more seeing the microphone available. Um, Microsoft is making some great improvements so that when we go from one app to the other, things are working and looking the same. So that's great for us as end users. But anyway, just so you're seeing how that all works. But how can I actually use this Copilot app in other ways besides having it be directly connected to my work account, which I'll show you some more individual examples of that here in a moment. I could go to the top and click web. When I do that, it's starting a brand new conversation for me. And there's something that I have not mentioned yet. And I want to go back to my PowerPoint here real quick and mention a couple of other things here before I do a demonstration of using this on the web. But when we're in Copilot, I'm serious about I've changed my habits that I am using this every day, all day long. I do use it to kickstart my day, but I don't stop there. I use it throughout the day. I'll give you some more demonstrations on how I'm using it throughout the day, but I also use it at the end of my day. And my first day of the week, my last day of the week, I have other prompts that I do that will say, summarize my week for me. What did I do? What haven't I done yet? So I can ask that on my last day of the week to see if there's anything that I should be finishing up before I leave for the weekend or whatever your case might be. I mean, think about these things that can help you. But anyway, just so you can see, I have a couple of other things that I want to mention. We talked a little bit about morning routines. I haven't talked about when we go into the Copilot app from the internet browser, we now have the capability of GPT-5. This did come out a little while ago, a few weeks back. It is embedded into already into Outlook, your typical apps in 365. But right now, when we go to the Copilot app itself, at the top, we can click try GPT-5. What exactly is it and why do you want to use it? Well, GPT-5, well, GPT in general, is the model that AI is using to bring back the response. So if you think about it, I won't mention these bad Windows versions, but every time you have a new version of Windows that comes out, there's always an update to your software applications. That's a continuous process. Well, Copilot has that same thing. It's the GPT, the generative prompt and transition. I forget what the GPT stands for, but anyway, doesn't matter. It's the engine behind it that is helping us do the prompting. So whatever we put in as the prompt, how is it responding back to us? That's a basic example. So how does it work? Well, it reads through a lot of information. It has books, it has websites, it has articles, and it's the most current model that we have available. So if I go to the web and say, I want to search for this particular topic, I need to know what the latest, stock market is on this particular item or whatever your case would be. It's going to actually use the most current information. And the way that it thinks, it actually does a deeper analysis on the prompt that you give it. It's really parsing together those words much better and stronger, and it does a more deep reasoning than it ever has in the past. If we think about a year and a half ago to where we are today with the GPT side of how AI works, major improvements. That, of course, will continue to grow because they'll always continue to have new models that come out. But you definitely want to click try GPT-5 so that it's using the latest model. Now, just so you know, eventually when I go to the Copilot app, that try it is not going to be there. It's just going to automatically be using GPT-5. Okay. Now, some of the other, won't mention any names, AI tools that you have available out on the internet, you can switch to which GPT you want to use, whether you want to use 3.5, you want to use 4, whatever. Um, there's a lot of them out there. You can always say which one you want to use because there are some that were more specific to its reasoning capabilities, but that's where agents are coming into play now, where the agents can help us with some of that. So long story short, we'll talk more about agents, of course, in one of the upcoming sessions. So definitely don't want to miss that one. But let me show you how I can actually do a search using a browser. So I'm going to go back to the Copilot app. Up at the top, I'm using web. So it's going to look at the internet for the information. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to click that try GPT-5. So the only thing that really changed on my screen right now is under what can I help you with, it says you are using Copilot with GPT-5. If you want to learn more about it, you can go ahead and click on that learn more. But down at the bottom are going to be suggested prompts that I could use to get started. So it can help me improve my writing on a specific file. I would probably do that through my work account, but rewrite this to sound more professional. Once again, I would probably personally use that in my 365 account because my data is there. But let me show you an example of how I might use this just to go to the internet. Write a blog on using project management to enhance our communication while working on big projects. And I didn't give it a ton of detail, but just so you could see what it's going to come back with. It's amazing what it comes back with. So you could see that based on the prompt that I gave it, and it was super quick on getting that response back, which is part of the GPT-5 is quicker on the response that it does, but it did a deeper analysis. If I would go back and do this in GPT-3, the response that I'm going to get back is going to be a lot different. And it's going to be more current now, of course, but you can see that it's breaking it down, why communication breaks down on big projects, how project management improves communication. And of course, it's giving me some prompt suggestions down at the bottom. So add real world examples to this blog. But what I really didn't tell it, which is part of prompt engineering, is how long do I want this blog to be? I should have told it I want this to be a 3-minute read. I want to include this information and get as detailed as I possibly can, because the more information I prompt it with, the better the result is going to be. So anyway, just so you can see, it rewrote it just like that, took 2 seconds. Could you imagine you going out and writing this? Now, do I take this word for word? Absolutely not. I do not. I copy this. I may copy this and put it in a document or whatever, but I'm going to put my own spin on this. I would never leave what Copilot gives me straight out of the box because this isn't the way our company wants us to say it. We have some specialized things that we need to be adding in that are specific to our company. Now, could I put that in my prompt to say the name of my company and things? I could, absolutely. But just so you're understanding that, you have to take what it gives you and change it for you, change it for your organization. Even when I do emails, I do exactly that same thing. I do have it change it. But anyway, let me say that I want to take this information and put it in a Word document. I could go to the bottom here and click the copy icon, or I could select whatever I wanted and copy just parts of it. I could go to Microsoft Word and just paste it in a new document. But could I have done that same prompt suggestion directly here in Microsoft Word. Especially if I'm going to compose this and, have this be my final document to use to post that blog. Should I do it right in Word? I definitely could, because I can carry that same conversation in Microsoft Word. Notice when you come into Word in a blank document, up at the top, it's actually showing me some of my more recent files and giving me suggestions on with those files. Produce a quick summary of this particular document, write an article based on this document, draft an email about this conversation, or I could just go to, what do I want Copilot to draft? So I could come in here. Oops, sorry, I forgot I copied that. I don't want to do it that way, but I have my microphone. I could put that in there. But if I wanted to do that analysis, and I'm just going to cheat and copy because I don't like to type, as I said, let me just copy that same exact thing. Okay, so let me go back up here. Sorry about that. Let me just say that I want to have that same, but I was in Microsoft Word and that's where it's going to be. I could just put that right here in Microsoft Word and do exactly the same thing. So you can go directly to the app itself and work with Copilot directly there. You're going to get a lot of the same exact results. So just so you could see, here's what it's coming back with. It's going to give you a menu asking you if you want to keep it, if you want to have it rewrite it. You're getting some additional tools down at the bottom to continue writing this before you keep it. So I could say, can you regenerate that? I want to see another draft of it. And I can do as many of the regenerations as I need to get to the one that I like the best. And I can toggle back and forth between them, of course. So once I kind of get to the point, maybe I wanted to make it more casual. I could continue to have it change it based on when I start reading it. It's like, ooh, that sounds really professional. Or maybe I want this to sound more like I'm talking to, you know, I needed this to be a lot more basic. And maybe I needed to give us some real world examples because my beginning one didn't ask for that. Any of that can be done directly here in this Word document as well. I can continue that conversation. So I'm going to actually say keep it. Now, am I done now with Copilot? Probably not, because as I start going through my document and I say, okay, this is how I need to write this, I wouldn't say let's face it. I wouldn't probably say that personally. I can have Copilot help rewrite that. I select the text, I go into Copilot, I'm going to say rewrite. I can get different suggestions. As you can see, I'm doing all these different suggestions. I could say, make it more casual, make it more formal, make it more professional, change the tone, change the audience, whatever it is that I need. Once I'm on the one I want, I can replace it or whatever it is you want to do. So you're going to continue to tweak it. Now, of course, in all of your Microsoft apps, you can go to the top right of the home tab of the ribbon and open the Copilot pane. Now, I'll show you more on things like that when we do the agents session, but you can see right now my prompt suggestions for what it is that I'm doing here in Word is summarize this document, generate an audio overview from this document, tell me more about the references. I can have it write something and insert it wherever I want it to be in the document. So maybe it didn't give me some information on something else, or I wanted to reference a specific file and add information about that. I can continue that conversation in the Copilot app directly here in Microsoft Word to do that. I could spend all day just talking about Microsoft Word and the different things that you can do, but it kind of depends on, what is it that you needed to help you with? You can have it start from a blank document. You can have it start within an existing document. And I do both every single day because a lot of times I have a document. I'm sorry, but I'm going back over my policies. I'm going back through my customer files. So if I have emails and letters that have to be sent to clients, or I have a sales quote or whatever the case is, a lot of mine, I've had my company for over 25 years, and a lot of these have been being used for 10 years or so. I like to go back and change them now. It's like I didn't want to take the time to do it before, but now that I have Copilot, I'm actually having Copilot do all that work for me. So it's pretty cool that we have that capability. Now, another thing that I do on a pretty regular basis is actually back into PowerPoint. So let me jump back into PowerPoint, and I'm actually going to create a, sorry, lost my mouse there for a second. I'm going to actually go into PowerPoint and I'm going to bring over a blank new presentation. So if I actually start in a blank presentation here in PowerPoint, how can I use Copilot to its best advantages when I come in? Well, notice at the top left on the home tab of the ribbon, new slide with Copilot. So if I want to use Copilot to create a new slide on this presentation, we have that capability whether you're in a new presentation or you're in an existing. Notice at the top left of the slide view on the right, it has this Copilot icon, which by the way, they've kind of changed this Copilot icon. Let me show you this because this is a recent update to Excel as well. Let me kind of slide my Excel file over here. Notice the icons are the same. So when I'm looking at this icon here in Copilot, it's consistent with that same icon in Excel. That's the new Copilot icon that they have come out with, just so you're aware that we'd have that. They got to change things up every 2 weeks, or sorry, they don't do it quite that often, but I swear they do sometimes. But anyway, when you see that icon, you can click on it and it's going to give you a drop down menu of how you can start with Copilot immediately. So creating a new presentation, creating it from a file, and that's what I do a lot. I don't start my presentations from blank. I'm going to go into create a presentation from file, and I can choose a file that I want it to reference. So here's some files that I've been working on. I've got this one coming up that I am doing at a technical college in Iowa. I'm doing different training for staff members and faculty, and I have this file that I've been writing, and I need a PowerPoint to go along with it. So I'm going to choose this document, and it's going to say add up to 5 files. I could continue and say, do this, do this, do this, don't do this. I could prompt more, but let me just see what it generates from this. I'm going to click go. Now, could I reference more than one file? Absolutely. What if I had an Excel file that I also wanted it to use to help write this? I do that a lot when I'm doing accounting information. If I need to do a presentation to the executive committee, we're going to talk about we're getting to year end type things. I could have it reference an Excel file and a Word document that we were doing our reports in, and have it do the presentation out of multiple files. But just so you could see what it's going to come back and do. They've made some improvements to this to the point where we could say, well, I don't want this information. I want to add in this information prior to even saying generate the slides. But it takes the contents of whatever your file is, whether it's Excel, etc. And by the way, if it is Excel, you might want to narrow it down to say which sheet. So which sheet do you want it to base it on? If you want to put multiple sheets, you can do that as well. But once it's done generating it, I don't know if you knew what it really is doing, but I'm going to say generate slides at the bottom right, because I want you to see how cool this is. So while it's generating it, let me tell you what you're going to end up seeing. It's going to give you a title slide, an agenda slide. It's going to give you graphical objects already created on the slides. Now, by the way, it's going to use a specific theme because I didn't tell it to change the theme. I should have. I could have told it to use whatever theme I wanted to use, but it's going to use its built-in generic one. But anyway, it's also going to give you speaker notes. Now, of course, you're going to need to go back and kind of change things up a little bit because you might have screenshots of things you need to replace an image that they put in there. But I never start from scratch anymore if it's something that's going to be related to something else. Sometimes it's being generated by an email, contents from an email. Whatever it is that you need, Copilot is here to help. Now, I shouldn't have picked a document that was so long. I apologize, but it is something that I did need. So here, you're helping me work right now. So, because I have that coming up here next week. But anyway, just so you know, that is something that I would do in PowerPoint. So now it's coming back with my presentation. I'm going to double click on the title slide here to come into normal view. But just so you could see, as I navigate these slides, look what it did. It automatically gave me images, and it's going to give you speaker notes depending on the slide itself. Isn't that awesome? I go in and tweak the speaker notes a little bit, but boy, I got to tell you, it can even create a video based on this also. It has so many capabilities. I could spend all day just talking about one of the apps, let alone all of them. But anyway, let me jump to Outlook. I kind of saved Outlook to kind of close this session out today because let me slide Outlook over here. I use Copilot in Outlook all day long. Seriously. So, first off, let's say that I have this email from somebody and it's been an ongoing conversation. I'm sure you guys are in the same boat. You have that same thing happening. Now, of course, we have the capability of clicking at the top of the reading pane. We can click Summarize by Copilot. Wow, that in itself is a fantastic feature. So it's going to come back and it's going to give you a summary of that conversation you were having with that specific person or whoever was all on that email conversation that you were clicked on. So it automatically has all of that. Now notice that I have this Ask Copilot. I could click Ask Copilot and it's going to open the Copilot pane on the right hand side, or I could have simply gone to the ribbon and open Copilot. But it basically came back and notice at the top, it actually has work versus web. Work versus web. I can search the web directly here through Outlook Copilot. Pretty cool that we have that. But if I have something that I want to be asking Copilot, like help me create a response to this email. Help me create a response to this email. I'll just put in something kind of generic. I didn't give it too much detail, but just so you could see, it's going to come back and give me that. I get that as a starting point. I might need to tweak it a little bit, but whatever it is, it's going to give me most of the content for me so I don't have to write it. So these are things that I'm using on a daily basis. But what if I actually want to start a brand new email? I go to create a brand new email. And remember earlier when I was talking about, I want to start my day about we had some issues last week with a project going on. I want to kick off, Monday as being, a good day for everybody. So I'm going to actually tell Copilot what it is that I want it to create for this email. So write an email. Let me fix my typo. Write an email to the team about last week not going great with the project, but this week will be better. Include a motivational quote. I'll just say that for right now. I sometimes will keep going to give it a little bit more detail, but just for demonstration purposes, let me show you what it might come back with. Now, I didn't give it a ton, but just so you could see what it brought back. Now, if I say down at the bottom, I could say, make it shorter, make it longer, change the tone, and maybe I want the tone to be a little bit more casual. I'm going to say make it a little bit more casual because, you want to kind of lighten the mood up a little bit as to, having a bad week. I could have given it detail as to what went wrong. We ended up having multiple unidentified risks that had happened. We had a lot of changes, whatever. I could have given a little bit more detail as to what happened and what we're going to do to rectify that moving forward and have Copilot write that for us. When we're done, we just simply say, keep it. You're going to go back, read through it, and make your additional notes that you want to add and kind of put it into your own words. But even if I write it myself, so let's say that I came in and I actually typed it all out. I'm usually typing it based on what my mind is thinking. I need to include this, this, and this. It's not always the most organized. And depending on who I'm sending this email to, I do a lot of emails to executives, to, owners, CEOs, etc. I want to make sure that it sounds professional. I want to make sure that it's coming across a good way because I can't always pick that out. We have coaching capabilities built in. So I could go to my Copilot icon at the top right, And by the way, I don't even need this pane anymore on the right-hand side. But basically what it is that I could do is click on the drop down for my Copilot icon, and I can choose this feature called coaching. It's going to analyze the email that you currently have, and it's going to go through it, and it's going to check the tone, the clarity, the reader sentiment, those kind of things. Oh, it's telling me it has to be at least 100 characters. So let me have it be at least 100 characters. I was probably just a few characters short, but let me try it again. I just repeated some information just so you could see how it works. Let me go back to coaching. Sorry. But this is something that I do like to use all the time. It is restricted there, but that's okay. I like the fact that it works. Come on. I know I repeated some information, but let me show you how this could work. Anyway, it's going to analyze it. It's going to come back and it's going to talk about the tone, etc. as it's analyzing that message. Why is that not opening for me? Okay, now I probably tried it too many times. You know how that is. I get to be a clicker and computer doesn't always like that, although I have a ton of RAM. But anyway, just so you know what it's going to end up doing is go through and give you suggestions on how you could change it. Even if I take the suggestions that it comes back with, if I say keep it, that kind of a thing, I still go back and put it into my own words. I'm never going to leave it word for word on what it is that Copilot did. But I got to tell you, I love this feature. Now, I didn't have to go to the Copilot app to be doing things like asking it information about, my upcoming appointments that I have, how can I squeeze in some focus time? And by the way, let me show you an example of this because I do this a lot because I have a lot of tasks on my plate. I'm just going to put in a prompt here. Suggest the best times for a 1 hour focus block this week. Do you ever need that where you need to have some set aside time? Copilot can look for that for you based on your schedule and the things that you have going on. It can come back and give you that information. Now, in the handout, so make sure you have your handout downloaded. I have a ton of suggestions of different prompts that you can be using that if you haven't been trying these, like I said, today is your day to start. But you can see that it came back and told me, here's some best time slots. Okay. And it's even telling me down at the bottom, find morning focus blocks, suggest focus blocks after meetings today. So I can even have it do those types of things. I can even have it look at things, show me my calendar for the next 3 days, or what appointments did I have for the last week? And it can help me go back and do meeting minutes or whatever it is that I need it to do. It can give me an overview for my meetings from the last week and suggest, is there any action items? So let me show you an example of calendar related. Summarize my last 7 meetings and give me any action items. I'll just do that and see what it comes back with. I do these kind of things all the time because could I go back and look at the meeting and look at, the recording and, the transcript and do all of that? Absolutely. I could go back and read it word for word and watch the recording for an hour. But do I want to? Absolutely not. I want Copilot to do that for me. Now, can I do that right within Teams, within the meeting, those kind of things? Yes, you most certainly can. But I can do that directly here also because this is the Copilot app, which is directly connected to all of my 365. I could be having it give me a summary of a Word document because I want to put it in an email or put it in an appointment or whatever the case might be. But anyway, just so you could see that it came back with all that information. And I could say draft follow-up emails for training sessions, summarize key points from each meeting, whatever it is that I need to have it continue that conversation. Copilot can definitely be doing that. Copilot is also, of course, built into if you are using Microsoft Edge, which I 100% am because Copilot is directly linked to that Edge browser as well. So it can be summarizing web information directly from a site, all of that. And of course, it can be directly connected to your 365 account. If your Edge browser is logged into your business account, you're utilizing everything the same way. It's using Copilot throughout your 365. So think about having things be easier for you. And think about, if you kind of think about throughout the day, what you manually do that Copilot could be doing to help make things a little bit more efficient. Okay. You'll get to the point where you can be up to an hour and a half to 2 hours of time savings as well. But anyway, just so you could see, it came back with this. Uh, Here's the summary of all of those messages. It came back and I said, I'm going to say custom tone and content for follow-up emails. So it's giving me emails based on these last meetings that I had it do. So these are my last training meetings. It automatically came back with email suggestions that I could do to follow up on those appointments that I had. I could go on with a million different options for you, talking about different prompt suggestions. But you want to think about the way you're prompting. So the way that you're asking Copilot, what are you providing to Copilot in those prompts? No matter where you're doing the prompts, the better the prompt is, the more detailed it is, the better the results you're going to get back. Now, does it have to be 10 pages long? Absolutely not. Or I should say 10 sentences long. No, we don't need to do those kind of things. I can say summarize action items for my unread emails. Tell me oh, this is a good one. Let me do this one for you. What are my upcoming and late tasks that should be on my radar? I won't fix my misspell because it will understand it anyway because it's pretty smart, but it's going to do these kind of things. I mean, these are things that I am doing all the time. I notice on my calendar something got canceled, so now I have some free time. I'm going to have Copilot help me fill that free time by doing things like this, saying, what are my upcoming tasks or tasks that I have that are overdue that I could go ahead and get taken care of. So think about the things that can help you with the things you do every day.